Hi, everybody. Welcome to Talking with Crazy Americans. My name is Jonathan Freese, and this is my show where I invite all these crazy Americans on to hear their crazy ideas about the mind and the brain. And so, this is my show. I'm joined today by my hero, Colin Stevenson, who actually has something that he'd like to say to everyone out there because you know what? He's not Scottish like me. He actually has a confession to make. He's not from Scotland. He's not from Edinburgh. He is from, well, Colin, why don't you tell everyone where you're from?
Hey man, I'm actually from the States. And I just wanted to say that, it's like we share things, over in the States, and I just want to bring us closer together. So thank you very much, Jonathan.
Oh, you're so welcome, Colin. I'm glad that you're coming clean finally. All of these videos I'm watching, your Scottish accent is crazy, man. It's not, I know that you get on these videos and you're buzzing and you're happy and you're having a great time and everything's mega. Everything's mega, but I'm the one that's really supposed to be saying mega. And you need to be the one who's saying, man, that's totally awesome.
That is totally awesome. Oh, you know, right.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to speak normally because I'm not
I
going to be
know.
able to keep that up for long, right? I'm not particularly the best at accents, but thank you for that. And welcome everybody to the show where my other hero, Jonathan Freese. um, so people that don't know Jonathan, I would like to introduce Jonathan. So they have seen me and my good other hero, John Lenhart. They've seen John and I talking for a long time. And we've got this nice little thing going where we want to try and help the world and do our absolute best to get our message out. Now, Jonathan actually is a big part of this as well because Jonathan and John have been partners now for 11 years. So John's been doing this for 20 years. Jonathan's now been doing it for 11 alongside John. Now, it's only recently that I've been allowed off my leash, and I don't mean that in a bad way, to speak to Jonathan because this is what is going to happen on camera.
I know. I can do my Scottish accent for another 15, 20 minutes, 25. I'd be totally fine with that.
So this is why we're on to talk compassion server today, Jonathan.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Oh, I'll see you later, Colin. Bye.
so compassion server is who I am, and it's also who you are. Now, we've known about this since John and I's first conversation about 15, 16 months ago, since I watched you on the course that Flowcess does that I learned from. And it's what's brought me to where I am in life now, and it's changed my whole life around. And John told me that compassion servers, you are like Spider-Man. You can be like the Hulk, but you're like Spider-Man. You're like the superhero. You want to save everybody. You want to help everybody. And I would love to talk about this with you and have your take on it. John obviously is administrator teacher, so your compassion service. I would like to hear it from your perspective and what you feel compassion server is to begin with, please.
Awesome. I'm so happy to be here, Colin. It honestly, I watch the videos and it just tickles me. I just start laughing. The first time I heard you talk about being the compassion server, I was like, "Oh man, this is just so much fun." So it's so much fun. Like when Colin, when you and I first met and we first started talking, there was this just instant connection. And I think learning a lot about the you and I now with Flowcess and we have a common language.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit to get it, but once someone gets it, man, the connections and the way that you're able to really have music is what I call it. Like I understand my instrument, Colin, you understand your instrument, and now you and I are able to have music together. So that's really what I see my intangible drivers as, is I see that as my instrument.
Yeah,
And so
I
I
like
know
that.
who I am, and I know who I am, and I'm able to interact with people in who they are, and we can have a really fast connection, especially with someone else who knows their instrument. So right off the bat, it's like, man, being a compassion server is, um, I used to think it was a curse because I couldn't turn off my care for people. I just, I cared about people, and I thought that, being an adult and being a man was being a bulldozer.
Yeah,
But, things would happen to kids at school, like they would get embarrassed, and I would feel that. That a bunch of kids would be laughing at that kid or picking on a kid, and I would break my heart. And so I thought that something was wrong. I thought that I was weak, because boys aren't supposed to cry. Boys aren't
yeah,
supposed to feel, deep feelings. Those things are for girls.
yeah.
Girls are really sensitive. Girls are the ones that put on movies to have a good cry, not boys. But throughout the years, and the more secure that I get in who I am, the more sensitive I become. And I see that sensitivity as strength,
Yeah.
which is something that, I didn't see until I was about, 26, 27. So, almost 10 years ago. And in learning about that, and learning about this sensitivity, um, really what it's helped me discover is that I just naturally want to care for people. I, feel the pain of others, and that's what causes me to, when I get filled with a lot of pain, like what you said, turn into the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
So the sweetest, the nicest people that out there are going to be your compassion people, and that's why when they snap, it can be just really scary, or they can even be diagnosed with explosive anger disorder, because of that contrast. So learning that about myself, and the fact that, this sensitivity means that I'm strong. It takes a strong person to feel and bear the pain of other people.
Yeah.
And that makes me the strongest person. And if I'm the strongest person, what that means is I can go into situations that are incredibly tense. I can go into situations that are really difficult, that are really awkward, that could be incredibly confrontational, and handle them well. Handle them well because, I care, and people have felt that from me. So I always thought that I was weak. And now I'm learning that, you know, I'm actually strong, which makes me the perfect person to step into situations that are really tense and awkward and confrontational.
Yeah, I love
So,
that.
yeah, man. So that's really, so if anyone is out there and they're like, I walk into a room and I instantly feel the pain of other people. I can't turn off this feeling that I have for people. Like when they're happy, I can't help but be happy and feel happy with them. It's going to take a lot of effort, Colin, for you to be smiling and for me to stay upset.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
when I was a kid, that used to piss me off. Where I'm like, how come I can't stay mad?
That's it.
It's like, oh, I can't stay mad. I want to stay mad. I want to stay angry. I want to stay upset. But everyone around me's having fun. Like that. And I can't. But when everyone's upset around me and I feel happy and I walk into a situation, I go, oh, I was feeling happy, but I don't remember what I'm happy about.
Yeah,
This room is, there's some unhappy people in this room, and I can feel that shift. So that sensitivity, is really, really powerful. I explain it to kids now who are my age who thought that they were, that something was wrong with them. I talk to them now and tell them this is a superpower. In fact, I was explaining it to a kid who was compassion giver, and I said, you can feel the pain of other people like a superhero. You can feel the pain of other people like Spider-Man can. You have a spidey sense and you walk into a room and you feel this and you feel that. And he goes, oh, I am a superhero. And I'm just like, oh, this is I'm like, this stuff is healing the compassion kids out there to go, no, this is a strength. This is strong. It's strong to be sensitive. So I kind of feel like I'm on a mission with any person who's compassion to, instead of saying, oh, you're so sensitive, like I want it to be like, oh, you are sensitive. You are so sensitive to the situations and the people that are going around you. What a gift. What an incredible ability that you have. So, Colin, what an incredible ability you have to
Thank you very much.
And I feel so much care every time we talk from you. I feel that coming from you. I feel that compassion from you when you're interviewing people. And I love that. I just see you as someone who's embraced that compassion and is using it for good and is confident in that ability. So I'm very excited and proud to be on technically your show, regardless of my intro. But it is so great to be here. It's so great to be here, man.
It's always ours. Everything that I've got that's mine is yours and yours is mine. We share everything. And you said a couple of things that I'm going to touch on there because people that don't get it, I want them to get it. You were speaking about how we can pick up on other people. You and I are very, very similar in terms of our stories of life, but also in terms of our intangible drivers. And I'm still in the kind of early learning process, 16 months versus 11 years. There's a bit more in depth to do, but I'm picking up on it. Yeah. And I used to really struggle with, I did used to feel people's pain, but I couldn't tell the difference between mine and somebody else's. So this also used to make me feel like I was empty or I was angry and I didn't know why. But I generally now believe that I'm able to switch off from that because I'm able to take a split second to think this has nothing to do with me because I've not been made to feel like this. But I believe that there's so many people that are still going through that don't even know that they're compassion, right? We can talk about the server in a minute. They don't even know that they're compassion and what they're feeling. Because if you're sad and I come and see you and I spend 4 hours with you, consoling you or helping you or coaching you or any of these things, and I leave feeling drained or down or sad, the norm, and I'll call it the norm as in the masses, the majority, they don't understand the intangible drivers. They will then go and find something to distract themselves from. They will distract themselves with, they'll go and have a drink. They will go and spend time with somebody else. They might go and be with a partner. They might do something to take away from this feeling rather than realize that was theirs. It wasn't theirs in the first place, which then gets them into these new habits, which then change their lives based on something that wasn't theirs in the first place. Now, I know that I'm singing to you right now, right? I can feel it.
Great. Oh, yeah.
This is sweet music to us because we understand, and this is why we want people to come, and not for us to tell them, but for them to feel. We want people to feel, and the people that I've had coming to meet John and taking calls with us and introductions have all been compassion server, because I believe that compassion server people have been suppressed more than anybody else, because people don't want soppy soft people because the world's quite hard at the moment. And people don't want to expose themselves as being soft because they feel they have to protect themselves on a larger scale. So when you see like people like us coming in and saying it's okay to be soft, it's okay to be love, and it's not in an overwhelming kind of push it onto people, this is what I believe, that the compassion server people will change the world. Now, when we look at compassion, is obviously picking up, it's vibing, it's understanding without words, without pictures, without colours, without numbers or tastes or smells. It's just knowing. The server part of it, again, is where we have to, our why we are here is to serve people. Now, in America, I just want to talk about this quickly because in America, if you're a server in a restaurant, it's looked at as a kind of high class job. I don't mean high flying over the top, like being graduated from university and you're now doing law and things like this. But if you're a good server, you're respected by everybody. Yeah. And this is what I've picked up from over here. If somebody comes to a restaurant and they get a decent server, which I used to be, I used to love serving in a bar and I used to love serving in restaurants and make sure that they were comfortable and they had everything when they wanted it so they didn't have to ask. And I was like,
Oh yes, definitely.
that was my thing. And this was how I gained my interactions with people and things like that. This is where my confidence came from before I started performing. And that was obviously yourself similar. That next level performing where you're serving on a stage, right? I did it on a one-to-one or a one-to-a-family or one-to-a-couple. And I was going through this, but I would also feel it from the staff members and stuff. So what I found out quite quickly was that I couldn't work with certain people because I didn't enjoy my shift, So that, again, that was the compassion side, but I didn't realize that I can't work with you because we're so far down and what I would call now the intangible driver's table. They were so far apart. But going back to the server, when we're able to serve, we gain energy from that. We gain from it so that we can, how can I put it? It's like we have to do it. It's like we were placed on this earth to do so. And because I believe that the world, most of the world, and especially the Western world, everyone's wanting to be the best and wanting to climb to that top. I would rather be the guy in the middle, helping the ones up from the bottom and then helping them serve the ones at the top. I'm happy with that because it's who I am. So again, the compassion servers that feel that they're struggling to get to the top, they don't realize that they're not meant to be at the top. That's your exhorters and all these. They're all meant to be up at the top. So compassion server, they don't have to be in the limelight. As I say, you and I have both done that with music and my dancing and things like that. And we understand what it's like to be, if you want to call it, at the top or at the front. We don't necessarily have to be there. We can be, but we don't necessarily have to. We can hide and we can stay and we can kind of become camouflage in a situation where people don't realize we're helping them. We don't realize we're serving them. And then they leave us feeling better than when they come into our company. And that's usually my aim for anybody. If they come into my company, they leave better, which means I'll always do a good job. And they'll always want to come back or they'll always trust, they'll always, these type of things. So I want your take on server. I know that I've obviously explained my take on it. And as much as we're the same, our words are different. I would love to hear your take on server and how you feel about that.
Yeah, so there's a couple things now I want to say what you said in terms of you talked about the difference between like how do I know if it's my pain versus someone else's pain. And this is important for us, like as we were growing up, we thought, man, there are people that are just purely robots. Like they're not showing a lot of emotion. They don't express a lot of emotion, or maybe anger, but they don't express a lot of that. So there's all of these people that are like robots that are walking around. It's like, well, not everyone is compassion server or exhorter, like really outwardly emotional. But if there's someone in our lives like a John Lenhart, and Ed, these people are so beneficial in our lives because they naturally, like you and I naturally feel people's emotions. We're naturally zoned into that. They're naturally zoned into why something is the way that it is.
Yeah.
And so how would I help someone differentiate between their pain and someone else's pain? I would do kind of what you were saying, which is what was the cause of it? I need to understand why that pain was there. What was the first thing? What was the cause? The initiation of that pain.
Yeah.
Was that in someone else or was that in you? And having a teacher, having teachers in my life has just dramatically impacted the course of my life because
Yeah.
being a server, that what that means is I can do all of the 7 of those intangible drivers. So when I write music, I become a poet. I become this person who is trying to say all of this meaning in one line. I got to say all of these things that I believe or this understanding in one line. It's like right there, I'm being compassion perceiver. So being a server to me is really about I think it's being talented. A
Yeah.
lot of these people go, I'm a server, I'm a jack of all trades, I'm a master of none. I go, hey, I, I learned very early on I'm okay getting a silver medal in all of the competitions if
Yeah.
I don't get a gold. Where it's like I would love to be able to be excellent in a lot of different areas, even if it means that I'm not the best at it, because that means that I can help people do certain things. So be a I can be a teacher when I need to be a teacher. Like I'll tell you a quick story. I was at John and I actually found out we go to the same dentist. He asked me about executive coaching, and I said, "Yeah, I do some executive coaching." He said, "With who?" And I said, "Well, with this company called Flowcess." And the dentist was like, "Okay." And I said, "What we do is we help like professional athletes, we help them figure out their process for being in the zone or what we call flow. So that's what we do." And he goes, "Wow." He's like, "You're a pretty smart guy." And I said, "Well," my friend's a really smart guy. And so I can talk like a teacher. I can explain things as a teacher explains them." And then he realized, "Oh my gosh, I know you're talking like that John Lenhart guy." And he's like, "I know." And he runs back into the room and I go, "Yeah, he's one of my best friends." And so so anyway, it's just that's being a server, is being able to meet people where they're at. And this dentist and doctors are very much teachers in their
Yeah.
why or in their how. And so I was able to connect with him and kind of speak his language. So in finding the cause is kind of how we differentiate whether the pain's there. And one of the things I say to a lot of compassionate people as well um, is the pain that someone's experiencing, is that just or is that unjust?
Yeah.
Because sometimes if people are experiencing pain, it's pain that they've caused. And to feel that pain is awesome. It's like, good job. You're feeling pain. You're not broken. Hooray. And it's wrong for me to alleviate that pain that they caused if they're experiencing just pain versus if it's unjust pain. If it's something that they didn't cause, then those are these situations. Like anytime someone's been abused, it's unjust. It's unjust pain. And those are when we just want to wrap our arms around someone and help, take their pain away and bring them through this situation, learn how to forgive and stuff like that. So what I see is what it means to be a server and to be a compassion server is, you said that these people can change the world.
Yeah.
And that's where I go, man, Colin, I think you're so right, because compassion people are made to bear the pain, alleviate the pain of other people. And they're made to serve. They're made to fill the needs of other people. Honestly, I can't think of a better description than just the simple definition of what it means to be a leader.
Yeah.
Like being a compassion server is, you're going to do what it takes to alleviate people's pain, to help them grow.
Yeah.
And a leader, I believe you and John have talked about the difference between bosses and leaders.
Yeah, that was our first conversation.
There you go. And so a compassion server ought to be the most natural leader, where they feel weak, they feel like they could be stuck, they feel like they maybe don't have what it takes, but they're the people that serve other people. Like you said, they're the servants, they're the ones that are filling needs. And the compassion people are alleviating the pain of growth. And together, that I can't think of a better combination of someone made to facilitate the purpose and progress of other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah, and so I just wanted to say this, you're talking about being a server and your connections with other people. I have people tell me all the time, Jonathan, you would make a great bartender. Like
yeah,
professional bartender. Like if you weren't doing all of the stuff that you were doing, you could also be a bartender. Because that's exactly what you want from a bartender, from a server, is someone who's like, "How was your day? How you feeling?" You
yeah,
know? Tell me how you're feeling. That's gonna make my day if I know how you feel. Hey, if I can leave, if you can walk away from the restaurant feeling better, hey, I did my job. It's like, oh, every single, manager of a restaurant or a bar would be like, I need to hire that person. And in fact, that's how I got hired working at a coffee shop. Like I worked in Starbucks for years, and I said, I want to walk into a shift. I want to walk in and have everyone be relieved that I'm there.
yeah,
And she hired me right on the spot, the manager did. And then when I became a shift manager, I was like, what that did is that put me in a position to be able to lead the people around me. And I love that. There was a bunch of people that were saying, oh, Jonathan, you don't want to be a manager. That's going to be, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to have all this responsibility. And I was
no,
like, no way. I get to determine what kind of shift we're going to have by being the manager. I get to determine, kind of that emotional climate of the shift. So people would come in, it would be, it would be really early in the morning. And I'd say, you know what? I know that your shift starts at 7:30. Go ahead and punch in and sit in the back for 5 minutes and drink a coffee and wake up. And then they'd
yeah,
come back out on the floor and they'd be like, I love you, Jonathan. Let's go to work. And I'm like, that's what it's about. That's being a compassion server, is being able, like people, happy, sad, mad, and fear. Like we are zoned into those emotions, and being able to vibe that from other people in order to serve them effectively, in order to discover what it is that they need. So I thought it was a curse, but I am so jacked, like more and more all the time, to be a compassion server. I don't want to be anything else.
yeah. And I love that because I feel the exact same. Excuse me, it's taken me nearly 38 years to get like that. So when I spoke to John, I was 36. And, I was just at that point of my life. And John said he saw that I was there for the truth. And, he said, but he's just missing this understanding of self. And that's where I didn't know I was compassion server. I was doing the things the way other people were doing them because I thought that was how it had to be done. And then John just jumped into my life, like literally. That's why I always say my hero, John, because in a way, he didn't save my life. It was almost like he gave me life. And I know that sounds very dramatic, right? So that does sound very dramatic, but until somebody knows themselves, they cannot be anything, because there'll always be something that they believe some other person wants, or this is what, they don't get it. And this is why I believe what you guys do is so important. And I do believe John literally handed me life via an email and said, this is what we're going to do with this course, and I'm going to work with you, and now look at us all doing videos together and discussions over on the other side of the world, and making plans for the future and all these things, because we were able to feel ourselves first. And because I'm the same as you and we're compassion server, I want other people to feel themselves. If they're more successful than me, that makes me happy. If I can do something to make their life and they don't thank me, I don't care. Because I am doing my service, I'm being of service. That's all I need to be. And, we could talk, and maybe another time, about server. You know, that's just for like purpose sake. And
That's my wife.
right,
My
okay.
wife's a server. I got tons of stories about that.
Yeah, yeah. So I think next time I would love to do one of those with you as well, because it's kind of similar to us, but they just don't have the same understanding straight away. They'll just do it because it's maybe out of routine, or they'll maybe do it just because that has to be done regardless of how anyone's feeling. You know, it's like this needs to be. And I would love to do another video with you on that, because it's very, very interesting. Because growing up, Superman, I had always had a thing with Superman, and I was Superman obsessed because he just did it and he had to do it. And it was always my favorite superhero to get there. He didn't have any feelings. He didn't get hurt. And I always used to ask myself that question. Why does he not get upset? Why is he never attached to Lois Lane? Why does he never say, I love you? Why does he? But he still has love and he still wants to help and serve. And I couldn't get this into my brain, but I was like, he's so amazing. This guy's amazing. And then I meet John before I meet you, and John says, you're Spider-Man. And I was like, oh my God, I am Spider-Man. I don't want to hurt anyone in the midst of saving people. Superman was the same. And I was like, oh, right. And then things started changing. We want to serve, we want to help, we want to save, but we don't want anyone to get hurt in the process. Going back to what you spoke about the hostile, the hostile kind of environment, you will make sure that you defuse every bomb.
That's it.
And it just totally settles in. Now, last thing I want to say before we go, because you and I could sit and talk for probably weeks on end and have everybody, all the viewers sleeping, or maybe not sleeping. That's maybe putting too much on us.
Well, I'll try to do more of my my accents. Let's see what else we have. If anyone's sleeping.
Well, I think definitely server. I think we could do next at some point. And I would love to just to sum up Compassion Server. If you can give a message from your experience with what you and John have created with Flowcess, so people that feel each other's pain, or you feel others' pain, to be able to serve them, what would your message be to them as a final message?
If this has resonated with you, like who you are, my final message would be find one person that you can share your pain with and you're not worried about how they feel when you share it. Because that's the biggest issue that I see with anyone who bears the pain of other people to help them grow and does whatever it takes, is that they get full of pain really quickly. So the only healthy way to get that pain meter out, or that pain that you feel out, is if you have a friend in your life that you can unload that with in a healthy way. If there is not one person that you have, then you're never going to be able to experience the benefit of who you are.
Yeah.
Because you're walking around with a full, we call it a pain meter. You're walking around with a full pain meter and trying to avoid pain so that it doesn't spill all over. Yeah. But if you find that friend and learn how to sit them down and say, hey, I have my pain is full, and get that out with them, you're going to experience life. You're going to be a totally different person and much more confident. So I would say that. And then the second thing is you are the strongest person. Compassionate people are the strongest. So you were made for confrontation, to step into things. So, okay. Well, Colin, that was two, but those would be mine.
They were both needed, and I genuinely couldn't add to that because I thought it was perfect. So what I'm going to say is, hey, man, that's me. I'm going to go now, man.
All right, Colin, you've been my hero, man. This is mega. I love you, brother.
And I love you too, man. No, honestly, Jonathan, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend, and thank you so much for taking the time out to come and speak to us tonight on Compassion Server. And I'm sure people are going to look out for some more mad accents and mad laughs from us. So thank you so much. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, Jonathan.